It's on there.
I don't see it.
You see it now?
Go ahead, I'll check it later.
Okay. Yeah. Hey. Hello, everyone. I'm Meredith McGee, and I'm in Jackson, Mississippi, uh, talking to our Jennifer Cole, a designer from Mississippi. Okay, so Jennifer Cole,
Meredith,
okay, can it had a echo? Can you hear it now, Jen? Hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. So I'm sorry about that. Well, anyway, thanks for agreeing to let me interview you. And the whole goal is that this is Women History Month, and you are definitely one of the women that I personally would like to highlight. I've known you for I don't know 17 years or so, and we were business associates when you had a bridal shop here in Jackson, Mississippi, downtown, and you used to uh, use my business, and you were down there on Pascagoula Street,
Yeah.
and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
And remember how shocked I was that you were packing up, leaving your established business on
Yeah.
Pascagoula Street, where you were doing bridal shows and
Oh,
everything. Just um, uh, one of the top people in the city doing bridal gowns and bridal shows. Uh, you know, and then you uh, decided to pursue one of your dreams.
yeah.
And how old were you when you started school?
Actually, when I moved to New York in 2010, I was 42 years old, and I've been here 10 years, 10 years now.
Okay, so how long have you been a fashion designer?
So I give you a brief history on myself so people know. So basically, I've been sewing since the age of 12. My mom always sewed for a living, sewing for the public. Her dream was always to have her own shop or boutique or whatever, but it was seven of us, so that was very hard. So I can remember her always fussing at me about being on her sewing machine, but I actually learned just from watching her because that's all she did. So at the age of 12, I used to get this fascinated by the this sewing, and we were given a lot of clothes because we grew up underprivileged. And a lot of those clothes I would like change up myself Meredith, to fit the way that I wanted them to be. So basically, that was my thing. I always fantasized, and I used to watch the red carpet shows, the award shows, and all of that stuff. I was always fantasized about the formal dresses, to see people dressed up, fancy with the nice dresses and the jewelry and all of that. So I was always fantasized about that, and I always dreamed of New York, but I never really discussed it with anybody because growing up where I grew up, it's like if I would have said that, it was like, okay, you crazy. How you think you gonna make it to New York?
Well, let me ask you this. So, for any woman that's interested in becoming a designer, tell the audience what are the steps that you need to take to become a designer.
So basically, they have to learn. You have to learn everything about the fashion industry. It's better to learn everything about that you can about sewing. You have designers, Meredith, that don't even know how to sew. So you don't necessarily have to know how to sew, but if you don't know how to sew, then you got to pay for everything. You have to pay for your samples. Here in New York, just to get a sample piece made, you might sketch a dress or whatever, and for you to have to go to the factory and have that dress, the pattern actually made for it, a pattern maker would charge you $250 and up just for one sample piece. And then that piece actually, that pattern actually goes to the factory or whoever you're going to use to make it. So then you're spending out extra money. So until I got to the point of using the factory, I pretty much made my own sample pieces. I can make my own sample pieces. I can make my own patterns if I want to make my own pattern. But of course, now I'm busy, so I actually pay somebody to do that as well. But until you get to that level, you need to know how to do everything yourself. And not just that, you need to know how to do everything yourself so that people don't get over on you. You know, you might send something to the factory and it come back and it's not put together properly. If you don't know patterns or everything about it, then you won't know. So it's better that, and you'll be paid them for something that they didn't do because you just don't know the difference in the patterns. So basically, you have to learn everything you can. You know, me just walking down the street, Meredith, I pay attention to clothing. It's just a habit. You know, I can see a man walking down the street and his pants too long. I'm like, he need to hem his pants. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a part of me. So basically, you have to learn everything that you can, and it's best to and go to some design school or take some design classes because, of course, when I grew up in Mississippi, Meredith, there were no design schools in Mississippi. So I went to Alcorn State and I took up fashion merchandising. Well, after that, that still didn't satisfy me. So when my sons were in school, that's why I wanted to go to design school. And I'm glad I did because I still learned a lot. Even though I knew how to do a lot of stuff, there was still stuff that I learned in fashion school that helped me to get to where I am now. So basically, when you're home sewing, there's a difference. You can't say that you're a designer and you're still home sewing on a machine that came from Walmart or wherever, because in the industry, you have to learn how to use industrial sewing machines. So you have your industrial straight stitch machines, you have your industrial hemmers, you have your industrial surges, which makes everything easier for you because these are very fast machines. And not just that, they sew any type of fabric. So with your home sewing machine, you'll have problems sewing certain kind of fabrics according to what kind of machine you got, because like your stretchy fabric, I used to always have a problem with stretchy fabrics. I don't care what you did, it will skip stitches. It will always skip stitches on the stretchy fabric because those machines are not industrial sewing machines. So you basically have to learn everything that you can. Learn everything you can about the fashion industry, about the sewing, about the pattern making, about the history of fashion. And also you have the fashion industry is very, very big, Meredith, and you actually have to narrow it down to what you're good at. Now you have designers that do some of everything, like you can do swimwear, you can do business wear, you can do streetwear. A lot of the big designers do that, but I mean, that's because they're big designers. You starting out, you need to start with something that you can afford, because it's not cheap to be a designer. So you have to start out with maybe one thing, and eventually you'll add to, you'll continue to add to what you're doing. So figure out what you're the best at and start with that, and then you grow from there. Yeah.
And what's the name of the school that you went to in New York?
The Art Institute of New York. Mm-hmm.
And you was telling me that when you went to school, most of the students were your sons' ages.
Yeah. So when I moved to New York, I felt like, yeah, I mean, because I was 42. So a lot of these kids, they're coming straight out of high school, going into college. So yeah, they were my son's age because my sons were just going into college. So basically they were like, some of them were like 19, maybe 20, 21 years old, but most of them was like 18 and 19 years old. So actually, me and those kids got along good though. Me and those kids learned New York together because a lot of them weren't from here either. They were from other places. So you got people from everywhere. So those kids looked up to me and I got along with them good. And so when I started school at the Art Institute, I actually, that was one of my first jobs, was tutoring, because when they saw that I knew how to, as much as I knew how to do, they actually offered me a job tutoring. So a lot of those kids, I spent a lot of time with them. even outside of the school, if they were working on projects and they needed help, even when I was at home, in their apartments, then they would come to me and say, Jen, I need help with this. And even that, a lot of those kids, Meredith, started going to church with me because they had never been to church, but they would see me getting up, dressing up on Sunday morning because I was like, I gotta have a church to go to. So they'll start asking me, Jen, what you doing? Where you going? And I was like, I'm going to church. And a lot of those kids never been to church before, but they started. Next thing I know, they started going to church with me. So me and those kids had a lot of times together. I still connect with some of the kids that went to school there. Um, and they still call me, if they need some advice or whatever. So it was a good thing, to be able to help them. And they were away from home.
And how many of them actually got a job in their field after y'all graduated?
So there's one of there. I would say there's maybe two or three of the kids that I know who might be doing like personal sewing, like if somebody need a dress, they might have their own little line going. But a lot of the kids are working in other industries. They're not working in the fashion industry, or if they are working in the fashion industry, it's in retail. It's not in design, it's in retail. Yeah.
And your first job after you graduated from designer school was where?
Was with Ralph Lauren. So basically, I landed the job that I landed Meredith because of my experience. I had ran, of course, like I opened the first black bridal salon in the state of Mississippi. And that was for 14 years. I had that salon. So basically, my experience is what got me the jobs that I've had here. So I first started working with Ralph Lauren in his historical library. I worked there for like a year and a half. Um, so in his historical library, I learned a lot from there too, because actually the things that I was learning in school, I actually saw on hand, saw on hand at Ralph Lauren. So his historical library was basically for all his design teams to basically come in. They'll check out garments, or they see something that they might have an idea for the next season. So they were creating stuff for the next season. So all of this was to give them inspiration. So he collected vintage pieces from, I mean, all the way back from the 1800s. Like I said, I told you, I found one of Jackson State's first varsity jackets in that place. And I actually sent a picture of it to Richard Shaw at Dynastic. And he's like, Jen, where'd you get this picture from? I said, I took it. It's at Ralph Lauren. And he said that had to be one of the first varsity jackets that Jackson State had. So a lot of stuff, a lot of things that I saw in there, and it gave me ideas, inspiration on things that I wanted to create for my collection. Yeah.
But when you were in the when you were working in Ralph Lauren's library, you were on his designer team, and your job was doing what?
No, I was a teller. I was working as a
Oh, you was a teller.
I was working as a teller. Yeah. So basically, a lot of the stuff that came in there, sometimes the fabric, when I tell you it's so old that the fabric is just frail. So a lot of stuff I repaired. If he was doing a display at FIT, and according to what that display was, if anything was wrong with the pieces that he wanted to put in FIT on display or places like that in the museums and stuff, then I would, fix that stuff. So that's what I did. I was a teller there. So yeah, I was pretty much a teller there.
And when you left there, you became a teller at another place. What was the name of the next place?
So Meredith, I never would have thought that my little storm would have taken me to the places I've been, but I started working for Top Hat Imagewear. So Top Hat Imagewear is a uniform company. They do custom uniforms for like the hotels, the casinos, the resorts. So basically, I've traveled all over the world, with them doing like installations. If there's a new hotel opening, just say in DC, like the Watergate Hotel in DC, these places that basically was a part of their history. So Watergate Hotel closed down after the scandal, and it never reopened. They spent millions of dollars to redo that hotel. Well, I was one of the first people to stay in that hotel because I was there actually doing the fittings and stuff for their employees in their uniforms. So that's basically what I did. Anytime a new hotel is opening, just say for instance, Top Hat Imagewear has accounts all over. Just say for instance, they have 4 seasons. So that means Four Seasons all over, whether it's in the islands or wherever it's at. So they do their uniforms. So it's a very, very busy, but it's a family. It was a family-owned business, and I learned a lot from there because they have a full production facility there. So I've learned from there the production process from beginning to end. So it's a lot of jobs created behind the one shirt you might have bought in Macy's. A lot of jobs created behind it, and people don't know that, so they think that it's not a lot of money in the fashion industry, but it is. So even your simple cut and sew jobs pay in New York $95,000 a year or more. If you have to have a fabric person, then there's a person who sketched that design. There's the person who made the first sample, the person who does the grading, which means that once that first sample is made, that sample has to be made in other sizes, which means it has to be graded up, like from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It has to be graded up. So it's a lot of jobs created. And then there's the fabric, and then there's your people who does all of the cutting, and then there's your fabric guy, and it's a lot of jobs created. Your quality control people, the people that does the shipping. So just one small factory creates a lot of jobs. Yeah.
Now, earlier you were discussing tabletop sewing machines versus the commercial
Sewing machine.
sewing machines, and I wanted you to explain to the audience how going to school teaches someone to upgrade their knowledge of sewing when you go from a tabletop machine to a commercial machine.
Yeah, so I would say like I grew up. My mom always used just a regular sewing machine you might get from Walmart, or you might get from Hancock Fabrics, places like that. Those machines are not sturdy, which means they don't you don't get the same quality in sewing as you would with an industrial sewing machine. Those machines can only sew certain fabrics. Just say, for instance, I have some fabric and I'm making a dress that's sequenced. The fabric is sequenced. Well, you'll break all of your needles with those little machines. So basically, your industrial machine sews any type of fabric, whether it's silk, whether it's denim, whether it's stretch fabric. Only thing you do, it has certain feet on it or certain needles that you use to actually change up as you change your fabric. um there's a big difference, and it's so smoother, meaning if you're using a stretch fabric, it's not going to stretch your fabric like the regular tabletop machines that people use for home sewing. So there's a difference, and then it gives you a better quality to have your stuff put in stores. It has to be for your stores, for your designs to go in stores. It has to be at a certain quality. It can't be from the little home sewn machines. And you also have, let me tell you something. If you are a designer and anybody that sews, it's just like my mom didn't grow up. She never had a surgery, but when I had my shop in Jackson, it's like, when I would be real busy, Meredith, you know how busy I was with alterations in Jackson. So sometimes I would have to go and get my mom and let her come stay with me for a week. So she's not used to using the serger. So I actually bought her one, and she don't like to sew without it. After I bought her that serger, she didn't want to go back to not using that serger because it just makes it more neat. It makes it more clean. It just does better. And not just that, I don't like to do anything by hand, Meredith.
Mhm.
So I use the industrial straight stitch machine. I use the industrial serger. I use the industrial hemmer. To hem a pair of pants take me not 2 minutes. 1, 2, 3. It's just that fast. So it helps with the speed of getting stuff done, and also the quality of your fabric. Um, the industrial sewing machine is better. And then you have the machines that you actually do, like the industrial buttonholes, and you have the machines that actually sew the buttons on. So it's just a lot different, but that's the way it's done in the industry. And if you want to get to that level, you have to eventually, learn how to use an industrial sewing machine.
Yeah. And also, your mother you learned a lot about business from your mother because your mother used to make uniforms for Piney Woods School. Could
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about her entrepreneurship?
So I think maybe when I was like 12 years old, my mom actually, someone contacted her from Pinewood, and she made their uniforms for like, I don't know, several years, a lot of years. And I can remember her, and she had everything all over the kitchen, all over the living room. So she would do all of this sewing, and I would do all the hemming, but I was doing it by hand. We didn't have a hemmer. So, but even that, those you had, I guess, because I was curious when I started and I had my business. I had an industrial hammer, so I already knew how to use them before I came to New York. I had industrial machine. I had all of that. I like to know everything about what I'm doing, so I already had that. But yeah, she used to make the uniforms for Pinewood for years, and I would do all the hemming for her when she saw how much I knew about the sewing just from watching her. Then I would help her to hem all of the pants, but she would
Yeah.
make all of the pants and the shirts that they use for Pinewood School. Mhm.
Yeah. So actually, when I was reading the article, that someone interviewed you and put in their magazine in New York, and I was really surprised. I will tell you something about me. You don't know. I started sewing when I was 12. I still have my uh, what is it called? It's like a genie, which was a small.
I know what you.
So my mother bought me one when I was 12, and so I knew about a Serger sewing machines because my mother has been using Serger sewing machines for decades, and
Yeah.
she went to designer school. She had to leave the state too, in Champaign, Illinois, and she has a industrial quilting machine now, which sews the back uh, to the quilt. But I have definitely learned um, a lot, and I know any person that's interested in being a designer would learn from this interview because you're really giving a lot of good information. I also learned something else about you. You're just a natural person in terms of mentoring, which is why I understand why you decided to do the designer school in Ghana. But I'm gonna ask you a couple of more questions and then let you tell the audience about this school and why, if they're interested, they should make a donation towards the school in
Yeah.
Ghana. Okay, so what I wanted to ask you next was, what impact did your mother have on you in terms of what you learned from her in terms of business before you started your business?
Well, it my mom taught me everything I knew about sewing. Basically, everything I learned from her. I didn't learn it in New York. I learned it from her. But even, when I was in school in New York and I started learning, the way they do the patterns in the industry, I would call my mom and I'd be so excited. I'd be like, Mama, if we knew how to do these patterns like this, we would have been even faster. So basically, pretty much everything that I learned from her as far as the sewing. And, I just took it to a different level. I took it to a different level because I always been a curious person. I'm a person who sits and thinks of how this is done, and I'm very good at alterations because I feel like, okay, if they put it together, I can take it loose and put it together too. So a lot of stuff, Mary, that I learned just from alterations. People would come to me. I would never tell them no, even if I never did it before, because I knew if I can take it apart, I can remember how to put it back together after I alter it. So a lot of stuff, I guess I just took it to a different level than what my mom was doing. And then not just that, when I learned how much money it was in just alterations, and I used to get my mom, and my mom be like, I'd be like, no, don't do it like this. And she was like, I see why you have so many customers. She said, because you're too particular about everything. So I was more particular about stuff than she was. So, and not just that, the prices, she would make somebody a dress and charge them $20. I'm like, are you crazy?
Well, you know what? As a being particular is which takes any business person to a different
Yeah,
level. Put it in the work and good customer service
Yeah.
and striving for perfection.
Yeah.
That's what sets a good business person apart.
Because I'm telling you, and everybody who knew me for alterations or knew me, to design a dress, I would design dresses for people when I was in Mississippi too. But I carry other brands, other wedding dresses in my store, and I would design prom dresses for a lot of people. But the thing about it is, everybody knew how particular I was about everything. I was very particular. I just thought it had to be perfect. Even if I'm making something for myself, I'm very, very ticky. Even shopping, I'm very ticky. And if I go in the store and I know how stuff is put together, and I look at it and I know the quality of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go. I could go in the store and it might be a jacket that's $400 or $500, and I look at the quality of it and like, this is a ripoff. So a lot of people don't know that because they're not a seamstress. I'm a seamstress, so I know, and I won't spend that money on it. So it's
Right.
just all the years that I did this. I guess when you do something for so long, you become perfect at it. I mean, I can hem a pair of pants with my eyes closed. And so it's just the fact of loving what you do. I love what I do, and I want to make sure that as a designer or as a business owner, that my customers are really, really satisfied. And even to this day, I have customers, Meredith, that will call me and say, "Jen, we can't find anybody to do alterations. Do you know anybody?" And I'll be like, "No." I'll be like, "No."
Well, I want to ask you another question, Jen. You actually design custom wedding dresses and always have.
Yeah.
And so who influenced you in terms of big names in the designer world in terms of because you make beautiful gowns, even when you were in Jackson, downtown Jackson. What designers influenced you in terms of wedding gowns?
So I a lot of the designers. I put it like this: anybody who's successful in life has a story. So Ralph Lauren has always been one of my favorite designers. My next favorite designer was Chanel. So Chanel has a story. Chanel's mom died when she was a small child, and it was just her and her sister. So I guess her father didn't think that he could, deal with raising them by himself. So he actually took them to a convent, and that's where they grew up at, was in a convent. She actually got her first start making hats from, because she used to go to I would say work for this guy who had a lot of, like the Kentucky Derby parties where the ladies wore the big hats and all of that. So basically, that's where she got her start. One of the ladies messed her hat up at one of the parties, and she fixed it for her, and it started from there. The lady started sending her all her friends to make stuff for her, but she knew how to sew. And same thing with Ralph Lauren is his story. Ralph Lauren has a story. He actually grew up poor. It was three of them, and he said the same thing. He used to get all of the hand-me-downs from his brothers because he was the youngest one. So he said, and the reason he liked the Western styles is because he said that's what fantasized him, just like the red carpet used to fantasize me. It was the Western movies that fantasized and inspired him. So he said he used to go to the movies just to watch the Western movies, but he wasn't there thinking about the movie. He was there to see what they was wearing in those movies. So then he got his start making bow ties. That's how he got started. Somebody gave him a drawer at the Empire State Building, and he started selling bow ties, and it went from there. And one thing about Ralph Lauren always kept his business in the family. Like when he got started, he said he could remember he had so many orders for bow ties. He can remember his whole family. They would sit in the living room and they would be, sewing the labels on it for him while he was making the bow ties. So that's how he got his start. So Chanel's story inspires me the most, but I think that's what it is because it actually reminded me of me and how I grew up, in the same way. So, and it actually motivated me. Well, if they can do it, I can do it too. Regardless of where you're from, if it's something that you love, to me, Meredith, God gave all of us a gift, and my gift is the hands. My gift is designing. You have people who go through life and never realize what their gift is, and it's sad. But even with your gift, um, whatever God has planned for your life, just like He said, your gift will make room. and there's a purpose for that gift. And it's not just to, when you get to a different level, it's not just to help you, it's to help somebody else. So for everything that I've learned, that is the reason behind me wanting to build the design school. So I don't want to leave here with all of this knowledge in me. I want to leave it with somebody else.
Yeah, I know it, but you just said a mouthful. You said Ralph Lauren, who is one of the top white designers in the world, he started in his living room.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't realize how small people start.
Yeah,
And he was making the ties, and his family was putting the
the
what you
label.
said labels on it
Mhm.
while he was doing the a boat. So it doesn't it you don't have to have a big beautiful building uh to launch your dreams.
Mhm.
You just need a space to start and to grow. And I think that's very important. Now, what would your advice be to a younger woman, say the age of the kids that you want, young women that you went to school, designer school? What would your advice be to them so that when they graduated from school, they would get a job in their field?
Basically, to do all that you can do, learn all that you can learn. But I'm gonna put it like this: life experiences go farther than a lot of people think. When you get your education, oh, you're gonna get out and you're gonna land this big job. It don't work that way because you have no experience. You just came from school, so it's not gonna come overnight. College is just beginning of it. You're gonna have to get out and you're gonna accept jobs, that you might not even like, but don't give up on what is really in your heart to do. You have to work those other jobs so that you can get the same experience that I had in running my own business. It's not gonna come overnight. You know how many people, Meredith, that go to college and they got all these degrees and you still don't have a job in your field. You're still not happy. Your life is not fulfilled with what you really want to do because it doesn't come overnight. So even if you have to work other jobs, because I'm gonna tell you, starting off Meredith out of high school, before I decided to start my own business, I was working other places. And it was the incident with the zipper, and I was like, that's what triggered my mind to say, okay, this you should be doing this. And that's when I decided to start my own business. So basically, I'm gonna put it like this. You can work other places because we all have to live, but you can take that money and you can invest it. Just like when I came to New York, I didn't know what my first job would be, Meredith. So when I started working at Top Hat Imagewear, and of course I was doing good, so I took that money back and invested it to rebuild a business that I shut down. So that was my purpose. I took that money and I started planning. And I said, I'm gonna do this year, I'm gonna do this. So it's just the fact of planning. Put it on paper. You gotta put it on paper and you gotta make a plan. If you have to get a start somewhere. So even if it's a job that you don't like, you still can take that money and save it. Learn to manage, learn to budget, plan out what you're gonna do, and you will get there. You will eventually get there. So just like now, I'm not working at Top Hat Imagewear anymore. I'm working completely for myself. So and I'm good. During this pandemic, I haven't hurt for anything, and I did a lot of things like going to Africa. I did a lot of things, but that's because I managed. I learned to budget a long time ago. So saving. So if it's something that you want to do, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. Because when I came to New York, Meredith, I only had $3,000 in my pocket, and there's no money in New York. But
Mm-hmm.
I made it. I'm still here 10 years later, so I'm a living witness. You just gotta trust. You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta
Yeah.
believe in God, and you gotta secondly believe in yourself of what you're worthy of doing. Know who you are, because going to college, coming out of high school and going to college is just the beginning steps. It doesn't mean that you're gonna land a job that you want right as soon as you get out of high school. That's not gonna happen if
Yeah.
you don't have experience. You have no experience. You're an amateur. You know what I'm saying? So, but you still have to learn. Just continue to learn and do research and keep up with with the fashion, because fashion changes daily. So you keep up with all of that stuff. You can start stuff on the side while you're working, at another job. You can get there if you want it. You just have to focus.
Now, when you launched your designing business, you already had surgery machines and that kind of thing, right?
Meredith, as soon as I moved to New York, the first thing I did was ship some of my machines here, but UPS was messing them up. So I end up just buying because I even in my apartment now, when I decide to write my book, I'm going to do videos. It's going to be a whole story because I don't even have a kitchen, you understand, in my house, because that was the first thing I did when I got here was buy machines. And at that point, I didn't have a building or anything. You know, I bought machines so that I could still do what I do. I don't care where I'm working at. This is me. So that's what I love to do. So I don't ever want to be without a sewing machine. I don't care what.
Oh, I get you. So now, um, let's get to Ghana.
Okay.
And here you are. You created the first bridal shop in the state of Mississippi. A Black person owned it, and you're a woman. This is Women History Month, and I commend you for excelling in the designing industry and in the fashion industry. But you went to New York with skills and talents in your industry. You went to school. When you graduated from designer school, you landed a job, Ralph Lauren, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who actually was one of your influencers because you actually admired his story of how he started. And then you ended up working in his library, which was a place where he had uh, antique clothing so that his designers could go there and be able to design based on what was already out there. And then now you started your own designing business in New York.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between what you are doing now, designing, and what you were doing in Jackson, Mississippi on Pascagoula Street?
So basically on Pascagoula Street, I did alterations, I did custom gowns, but I also carried other people's gowns, you know, and I mean that was to make money to get to where I was going, you know, because I had two sons to raise, so I had to do what I had to do. So basically, the difference is now I'm working, still working for myself, but I have my own label. In 2016, I actually had finished um my bridal collection and it was ready to go to the factory. So in 2017, um, I actually got my full collection in hand. And so from there, I had to work on website, photo shoots, all of that stuff. So basically, I actually shipped all my dresses to Mississippi and did a photo shoot there. Used the girls in Mississippi to actually, so all the girls on my website are from Mississippi. So after that, I finally launched the website and everything was going. It takes time. So it even took that long. And I'm going to put it like this, Meredith. Things never go like you want it to go. You know, in 2017, I'm done with my collection. All I want is my website up. You know, I'm ready for everybody to see my collection, but you run into bumps. So I had a bad deal with a photographer. And so, and at the end of 2017, my website still wasn't up because of the photographer. So a lot of times in business, it's a lot of headaches, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of work being a business owner. So don't think that it comes easy because it doesn't. So finally in 2018, I launched the website in July of 2018. And so now, you know, every year I will add to that collection. But, and then I would say in 2019, a friend of mine here was working with, knew some people in Africa. I have a lot of friends here that's from Ghana that I know. But from all of my travel, Meredith, and seeing, when I would go to all of these places with my job, I would always make sure that I go out in the rural areas, not just at the resorts where the tourists are, because I wanted to see how, you know, the culture is in other countries and all of that. So you see the need and you see a lot of poor people. So it just, you know, you want to help. So my friend was friends with some people in Africa. That's how I got connected in Africa. and his name is Victor Lawton. So he introduced me to some people in Africa, and actually the Taste of Africa, and I was actually gonna be uh, I partnered with them as director of fashion and modeling, where I was gonna be working with girls, teaching them, mentoring them in modeling and designing. And then there's also this little 9-year-old girl, Aminata, who's in Sierra Leone, and actually Vic introduced me to her family. And when I saw that little girl, it's like Meredith, it did something to me because that was me at that age. She can sew anything at 9 years old. So it's like when I see these girls, I can, because I grew up poor, underprivileged. I might have not been on the streets like some of them, but I did grow up poor. It was 7 of us. So basically, I can look at them and I can know what's in their mind of what they want to do. But I know how nobody gave me an opportunity. Nobody gave me anything. I mean, even for us down to a SBA loan or anything like that. Nobody ever tried to help me do anything. So basically, I never made a loan, Meredith. I basically, like I said, budgeted, and whatever I needed, I bought. I just paid cash for it. So basically, I can tell what these girls want, and they don't have that opportunity. And being in the countries that they're in, they're not going to get the help, and they don't have the opportunity that I had to push myself to go to other countries, and I mean to go to come to New York and better myself. In their country, there's really nowhere for them to go to actually learn all this stuff that they want to learn. So when I saw Eminata, I actually adopted her and I got her in a better school. And after that, well, I put her in a better school until she's old enough to go, to design school. So basically, after that, I started dealing with the other girls, and I just saw their talent. These girls have so much talent, and they don't have anyone to help them. So basically, that was my thing. Is I have to actually, it's like I said, I have to do something. So God put it on my heart to build a school. So I decided to do the JennCole Design School, which will be in New York as well for underprivileged girls.
And
Um,
so you're gonna put the first one in Ghana. Can you share the your website so that the audience could see when you met the girls and where the school is going to be, and also about how much money are you? What is your fundraising goal to start the design school in Ghana?
so the first year, I actually, if the first year is $1 million to actually get the school built up and running and ready to house these girls. So basically, it's going to be a 2-year program. I will house 50 girls at a time. Right now, I have like 100 girls. So those girls that are not picked for the first term, they will actually be put on a waiting list for the second. Also, those same girls will be able to rotate and come to New York. So once the school is built in Ghana, I will look for a building here while they're in school there. And once this building is ready, the girls will be able to rotate like 3 months at a time and come to New York so that they can see how everything is done in the fashion industry here. So basically, the school in New York will actually have a mass production facility, because from going to school and learning about the other schools in the U.S., these schools teach these kids the basics. They just teach you the basics. They don't teach you what to do to actually get your stuff on that next level as these other designers. So that's what I want these girls to see, because I want to see more of our people, more black people, black designers within the US and everywhere else with that same credit as as being a household brand. So basically, like I said, it'll be a 2-year program, and then there'll be a 3rd-year program, which will be a graduate program. Now, the graduate program will be specifically for the business side of the fashion industry. Like I said before, the business side of the fashion industry is totally different from any other industry. There's a lot to it. So basically, I want to teach these girls everything that I know, everything that I have learned in the industry, giving them the opportunity, a platform to actually become successful designers and be able to sell their stuff worldwide. Um, basically, yeah, basically
So,
that's it. That's just my goal is to help them to get to that next level. You know, and then some of the girls are live on the street. So I show this video while
oh, let me ask you this, Jen. When girls complete school that live in Ghana, do you envision that they will be able to make money in Ghana, or will they have to come to New York City?
no, they would be able to make. You see, there are not that many manufacturing companies in Ghana. So basically, a friend of mine, he's known as Mr. Wear Ghana in Ghana because he supports everything made in Ghana. So basically, my thing is to combine the cultures of America and Ghana. These girls could come up with something so creative that nobody has seen, and they will be able to market worldwide. So even in my business plan, if these girls come up with something that I think can be pushed, I'm going to help them market that and get it out there in the world. So not just for Ghana, not just for the US, but for all over the world. So basically, out of those 50 girls, just an example, if you got 50 girls in a school, all of these girls are going to be trained to either land a good job in the fashion industry or to start their own business. It's going to be to where at the end of that third year, that graduate program, they will be able to get loans to actually start their own business if that's what they want to do. If they want to open a manufacturing company and the other girls don't, then those other girls are still trained to work under that girl. And still, a small manufacturing company would employ at least 100 people. So
Well,
that's
what would be the difference? Uh, so you uh, you have this vision. You went to a designer school with children half your age or something like that. But anyway, and so you're starting the school. What is going to be the biggest difference between the school, JennCole Design School, and the school that you attended in New York City?
because the school that I attended in New York City, they only taught the basics. I mean, they didn't even teach. They teach you the basics of sewing, the basics of sketching, the basics of pretty much everything, the pattern making. Just say for instance, if you Meredith was interested in doing men clothing, they didn't teach that. And I was doing wedding gowns, they didn't teach that. So I want these girls to learn how to do everything and then be able to mass produce it. So basically, the school is going to be different because I don't think there's any other schools, design schools in the U.S. that would have a mass production facility. But that mass
Okay,
production facility is going to be the difference because it's going to help these girls.
you could go ahead and share the school.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the school website, which is www.jenncole designschool.com. And actually, we did the launch for the school in September the 10th last year. And you can go on here and you can watch the videos from the launch, or you can see the pictures and stuff. I'll just show a small clip of the video. Meredith, if it does launch.
Okay.
So there's actually a part 1 and a part 2 on here of the launch.
Yeah, I went on and saw something, but I wasn't honest.
Rest assured, it's a beautiful thing. Coming to a place where you belong. Feel the joy and the love in the air. It's time to return. And I actually wasn't there. They actually had me on a big screen.
happy to see you this week. She has been helping us.
Can you see it good?
We have
Okay.
12
Yeah,
years
I can hear it.
now in Sierra Leone.
Now this is the launch. Could you share the video where you actually met them?
Yeah. Okay.
This and many more is what JennCole.
So the highlight of my trip to Ghana was actually meeting the girls. Was actually meeting these girls. Let's see. And to see the excitement of them, and the excitement of them, you know, seeing that, you know, it's like they have hope now.
Hello. Yeah.
And this was in rural Ghana?
This was in Ghana, yeah.
I mean, was it the rural part or the city part?
In between, this was actually at a restaurant. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and I'm glad to be in
So also, it was not just me there. Actually, Best-I Jackson from Mississippi, he's originally from McComb, the legend blues singer Best-I Jackson, he was here at the same time that I was here. So he spoke to the girls as well on this day. So I have several videos. There's several videos on here that you can watch and see. I'm gonna show one other video of the girls that are home.
And you say he's from McComb, Mississippi?
He's from McComb, Best-I Jackson.
And yeah, did he go to design school in New York too?
No, he's a blues singer. Best-I is a famous blues singer from Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
So he was in Ghana the whole while I was there. Yeah. And he's still there, but you know, he does the music, but he was supporting what I was doing there, so he actually spoke to the girls as well while I was there. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically here I just gave the girls you know, a history of myself, and how I grew up. But I mean, you can go in there and watch that. Also, let's do this. This is a video. I have video footage of the girls actually showing me how they live on the streets of Ghana. There's like 6 girls that's homeless. And so when I go back to Ghana, that is going to be my focus, to help find them somewhere to live until the school is built, to get them off of the streets. No, I think this is good.
You want to carry it?
So this was a day that I just spent time with them. I think this was the Sunday before I left, and I just wanted to spend time with the girls on the streets. There's a lot of video footage of everything. And you see, I only have 6 girls in this area that are homeless, but you see these girls in this video, all these girls are homeless. All of them are homeless.
I've seen for myself what's going on here.
And this, I think this video is them.
Do any of the girls already know how to sew?
Yeah, they do. Some of the girls are on the street just because they want to make enough money to buy a machine.
Wow.
So this one is them actually showing me how they live and sleep on the ground. And this is behind a bus terminal in Accra.
It's really not easy out here. It's really nice.
And this is where
And
they are
this is
at
where
every night.
they normally
So on
sleep.
Sundays they don't work. So basically they work in the market, and the market
Today
is
is
walking
Sunday,
distance from here.
and Sunday is
So they
rest
actually work in the
day.
market, you know, just for food, to make tips and stuff for food. So if you're in the market shopping, they actually carry your items on their head, and you know, people tip them or whatever, and
These
that's
are
how
the
they
people
eat.
that she is looking at.
But their hope
Take
is to
them
come
off the
here
street,
and, you know, make a better
and
life.
So they make those items that are hanging up.
so today
No, I mean, they have nowhere in place for sewing here, no
where they sleep,
electricity, no nothing. It's
and
nothing.
especially when it rains.
You see, this, they're actually showing me here how they
This is
sleep
the
on the ground,
demonstration.
just on a
This
piece of
is how
plastic.
they sleep. Put the rubber on the ground, and they sleep on it. So you can imagine, and they have this net that they normally use and they sleep.
And they're smart, and they're hard working too.
It's so pathetic, and it was about whatever.
So basically, when I go back, that's what I want to do, is find a place for them. I was going to go back last month, but I want to wait until I raise enough money to actually help them seriously off the street until the school is built.
People from the street so that she will give them the representation skills that they need.
So
now,
you design a finding housing for them. Is that included in the $1 million that you're trying to raise, or is that additional money?
That's additional money for now.
It's additional revenue. Okay.
Basically, I mean,
And are you raising it in the same place?
no, I actually have a GoFundMe.
What they go through
I had a
Okay.
GoFundMe.
Yeah. Well, you can put the GoFundMe on Facebook so that people could support finding shelter for how many girls? You said it's 100 girls.
I have 100 girls total, but it's just the 6 girls from this area that are homeless.
Okay.
The others, I mean, they're underprivileged, but the school is going to be specifically for underprivileged girls, girls who nobody else would give a chance to do anything in life. The girls that the people look down on and think they'll never do nothing. Those are the girls that I want to help.
This is amazing work, and for me. So,
can you show us? I mean, can you tell us what your 10-year vision is for JennCole Design School in Ghana as well as in
Hold on. Let me stop this. Okay.
Okay. You can stop sharing.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so go ahead with your question.
Yes. So in 10 years, what is your vision for JennCole Design School in Ghana, in New York, and in terms of production, and then, you know, making money with the students?
So basically, like I said, the first school will be built in Ghana, and once it's up and running, I will find a building here, but the corporate office would be in New York as well. But the school here is going to have a mass production facility. With that facility, with me being a minority business, I will be able to get contracts and stuff from the city for uniforms. So basically, in that mass production facility, these girls are going to learn mass production, which meaning doing police uniforms, MTA uniforms, fire department uniforms, stuff like that, to actually keep that mass production facility running, which means it's going to create a lot of jobs here in New York too, because I have to have professional people to actually show them how to run that mass production facility, not students. So basically they'll be trained so that if they want to start their own manufacturing company, just say in Ghana, then they'll be able to. So the first 2 years, so after those 2 schools are built, I have 5 other schools. I have 5 other schools that I will, every 3 years, I will build another school. So I have Sierra Leone, Morocco, Zimbabwe, Kenya, and Rwanda that I want to put in Africa. Yeah. So
because that was really it really touched my heart when you guys walked outside and to see where they have to sleep You know, and they're making taking the cloth and making a privacy, trying to cover up,
Yeah,
but they're
exactly.
sleeping on the ground, and you know there's a motto: you can give people a fish, which really what charity does, but you can teach a man how to fish. And the idea that you want to teach these girls who know how, so many of them,
Right.
how to make money in the industry that blacks are really shut out of. And then you want to do an international project, and you are starting
The
in
homeland.
yes, in the homeland, the motherland.
Yeah, the
And then you
motherland.
just mentioned all of the places where slaves came from.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. So I posted the video of the Elmina Castle where they actually kept slaves there to
Yeah, I
actually
saw that one.
to ship them
Uh-huh.
out. But that's my thing. Even though I'm in New York, Meredith, and I'm at the level that I'm at, I'm able to mass produce. I'm able to do same thing other designers do. I'm in the Knot magazine. I'm with IAW. I'm with the Wedding Salon. I still don't get the acknowledgement that these other designers get, and it's because I'm gonna say this. Like I said before, Ann Lowe is the first noted African American designer in the U.S. Period. She was the first. Well, she designed the dress for Jackie Kennedy. She was from Alabama. She came to New York, and she did great things. She made stuff for the Rockefellers, a lot of political people that she, designed dresses and stuff for. But when they asked Jackie Kennedy who made her dress, she said a colored dressmaker. You couldn't say her name. If you would have just said her name, that would have took her a whole lot higher. So that's my thing. I spend, I'm gonna say this, I spend $6,000 a year just for advertising with the Knot. So basically, when the Knot gets ready to do their couture show, they do 2 couture shows a year. You send me a link. You didn't ask me. I'm a designer. Do I want to be in it? You put all these other designers in it, but I spend money with you, every year, just like they do. Why did you not pick me? So in the Knot magazine for 2 years straight, there were no other black wedding gown designers in there. There are really not a lot of wedding gown designers black wedding gown designers in the U.S. period that are originally from here. So that's my thing. It's like they still don't let you get on that level. But the reason for that is because our people, I blame that on our people, because we don't support each other. So you prefer to go spend, $1,000 on Louis Vuitton or whoever. And I have nothing against these designers. But in my eyesight, you still have a slave mentality. You know what I'm saying? You still want to support and make the white man rich. But the thing about it is, how do you think I feel? I feel just like Ann Lowe. My own people you not buying from me is just the same as saying, okay, my stuff, just like Ann Lowe, is not good enough to be on that level with them other designers. You know what I'm saying? So you have to start supporting your own people until we stick together as one. As one. Stop buying. I don't have a whole lot of designer stuff in my. I buy for comfort, not for name. Stop being stupid buying for name, because the thing about it is, like I said in another interview, the stuff that comes to Mississippi is irregular stuff. I'm telling you, because from the knowledge that I know from being in the factories and working with the other designers, the stuff you get is according to area. Every designer picks their fabric and stuff according to the area they're producing for. So if Mississippi is a poor country, a poor state in the U.S., why would I spend a whole lot of money like I spend for fabric in New York on Mississippi, because Mississippi can't afford my prices? If you buying Ralph Lauren or those other people in Mississippi, you can't afford the prices of it in New York because it's way higher and the quality is a whole lot better. So start thinking, open your eyes and realize what you're getting, and stop spending all that money on stuff that might have been like the outlet malls. A lot of stuff that's in the outlet malls, Mary, to come from, it didn't pass inspection in the factory. And they still sell it for that high price in Mississippi, and you think you're doing something. I mean, it's just like the inner city of Jackson. You have a lot of black businesses in Jackson, Meredith, And just like when I was there, the inner city of Jackson just went down. Why? It's because you don't support each other. You choose to go to North Park and spend your money and build that area, or Madison and those places, and you won't even support your own. So now your inner city is down and there's so much crime. That's why there's no jobs. There's no jobs. And same thing everywhere else. If you don't support your own and build your own people up, we would never get to that level. So even if this school, if these girls start producing stuff that nobody's ever seen, you know, and stop letting other people control your culture. Stop letting other people control you and your money, because that's what they're doing. You think you're doing something big because you're buying for name. Don't buy for name. I would go in a small boutique and spend $1,000 quicker than I would to go in Louis Vuitton and spend it. I don't do that because I've been there. I know what it is to struggle with a small business. It's hard. So, and so basically, even if these girls come up with designs and stuff, if you don't buy it, it's like, what I'm doing is void. You know, what's the use behind it if you still don't support your own people?
Right. And you know, you said something really struck me. You said that when the students in Ghana, and many of them do so, come up with designs, they have a whole different style of fashion in Africa than we do here. That they could probably come up with something that you could market, right? And that, I think that that's going to be really great. And you know, the other thing is that you were saying that when you design a gown, that the low price for a custom gown is $1,000 or $1,500. How much would is a Louis Vuitton wedding dress at
if you get
at an outlet store compared to Tiffany's?
I don't think you'll find a Louis Vuitton wedding dress in an outlet store. That's like, you know, other regular clothes or purses and stuff like that. But if you get a Louis Vuitton wedding dress, you're gonna spend in the thousands. It's gonna be way more than what you would pay me for a wedding gown. His starting price would probably be at $5,000. You know, if you yeah, it's way higher. But it's
no. You were saying like the wedding dresses in a outlet store is something that was defective. The reason why it's there.
No,
what kind of prices are they? I just was wanting to elaborate on that point.
I never seen a wedding dress in an outlet store, but I'm saying your regular clothes, your purses, your Louis Vuitton shoes, your bags, your purses, you know, the other stuff. So when you buying Louis Vuitton, anything in the outlet malls, it's discontinued stuff. It's not the new stuff. It's discontinued, or it did not pass inspection in the factory. So they get rid of it. It's not sold with their regular stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you don't know the difference because you can't see the difference because you're not a designer. You know what I'm saying? Regular people are not going to see that, okay, this seam is not right here. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not, you don't have the eye for that. But the stuff that's in the outlet malls are stuff that's discontinued because every season designers have to come up with another collection. So if they didn't sell all that collection, then it is discontinued stuff. It goes to the outlet malls. All over, it goes to the outlet malls all over. So other stuff that, you know, even working in Ralph Lauren, a lot of stuff that I see that's just thrown away. And I'm like, man, none of you in New York would be homeless.
Yeah.
Or without clothing if they had this stuff, and it's just thrown away because it didn't pass inspection in the factory.
So before we end the interview, tell the audience how they can help you raise with the school in Ghana, and also with trying to get a facility for the homeless women in Ghana.
So basically, for regular donations for the school to help with building the school, you can just go to the website. Oh, and I actually came up with the I came up with a school clothing line. That is the t-shirts you've been seeing me post, the t-shirts, the hats, the masks, socks.
Purple.
Yeah, purple. So they
Purple.
come in purple, black, and white. But you can go to the store on the school website and purchase those items. Those items I came up with to support the girls, to raise money for the girls that are homeless. So everything that's purchased through the store will go towards helping the girls off the street. And also there's a GoFundMe. I had to copy and paste it in your.
Yeah, paste that on the Facebook page. But that's actually a great idea because I know as a fundraiser that is that having a product to sell
Right.
is a fast way to build up some money as opposed to donations.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so that was a very good move.
yeah.
And I'm gonna order me a T-shirt in a few minutes.
Okay.
I think this is an excellent idea, and I think that the fact that you went to the motherland on a visit just for personal reasons to have fun, and you saw these girls and you want to make a difference in their lives and teach them how to make money in an industry that you're making money in really makes you a wonderful, fantastic sister. And I thank you for that. I really do. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's all.
For regular donations, there's a donation page on the website, the Help Our Cause page. That's for regular donations. But yeah, everything that's done through the store is to help the homeless girls. And people have been ordering that, and I thank you, but we could use a whole lot more orders.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Donations, yeah.
So everybody online, if you're watching, if please buy a T-shirt if you can, or if you're in the market for a dress, you get married, please consider Jennifer Cole because she is top of the line when it comes to making prom gowns, wedding gowns. She can custom make anything you want. She can get any kind of material that you want, and she can fulfill your bridal dreams. I know that for sure. And also, she has a GoFundMe page, which you're gonna put that link on the Facebook page so that you can support the homeless girls that are in Ghana. Let's give us your final thoughts, Jen, before we end the meeting.
All right. So I just want to say to the younger people that might be interested in designing or fashion, there is a lot of money in the fashion industry. A lot of money in the fashion industry. So if you have that skill and you have that's your heart, anything that you wake up thinking about, like I woke up thinking about designing, I lay down thinking about designing, then that is your gift. Figure out what your gift is, work at it, learn everything that you can about your gift. And just like the word says, your gift will make room. Even if I decided not to do wedding gowns again today, Meredith, you know yourself, I could come back to Mississippi and open an alteration shop and do just as good, because even when I was doing wedding gowns, if I didn't sell a wedding gown in a month, it was the alterations that paid my bills. So basically my gift, I can go, when I say it's your gift, meaning you can make money anywhere in the world because it's your gift. So even in New York, if I decide to open an alteration shop, the alterations are big in New York. And eventually I will do that. But it's the thing, I always got something to fall back on, my gift. Regardless of anything else, my gift. Everything that I have been spending, even during the pandemic, the success doesn't come overnight. It takes a whole lot of work. If you want to have your own business, take a whole lot of sleepless nights, a whole lot of work to actually have your own business. Cause a lot of people.
Thank you for sharing your gifts with everyone, and make sure you put the link in. And we're gonna end the meeting now. And thank you for this interview. And Community Library of Mississippi and the Community Speaker Series salutes Jennifer Cole this month as one of the great women in the world. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Have a good one, Jen.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.